Yeah, it's low on torque. Low on torque. Huh. Now why would that be? Usual thing is an idler, or idler wheel, but I don't know what's in these. Yeah, it doesn't like the huge wheel there, so yeah, it's just not enough torque. I'll try another tape just to be sure. What's this one? Yeah, it's a large wheel. Okay. Alright, well, for some reason, rewind has no torque. Well, I think that whole torque mechanism for rewind and fast forward is all in the front, in there. So to get to it, that means, well, I've got to take the front cover off. Wasn't expecting that. I thought I'd get away with not having to do that. Now, from all accounts, 3 on the bottom and 3 on the top. So let's see how true that is. Well, that was straightforward. That's the little mechanism for the micro switch up here. Oh, the pinch rollers seem reasonably rubbery. That's good. A lot of end play. Huh. Oh, there might be adjustment for that. There should be a little bit, but that's a hell of a lot. That's a millimetre, or yeah, that's a good millimetre. Maybe more. Seems like enough, but obviously not. Okay. Righto, the motor's running, the belt is running, but what's not running? Oh, the rubber tyre isn't even turning. It should be trying to turn. Okay, now it's working. Okay. Right, no, I was afraid the belt was slipping, but no, it's not. No, it's some sort of clutch mechanism in there between the pulley with the belt on it and the rubber tyre. Well, I hate to say it, but I'm afraid this thing's going to have to come all apart. This idler tyre is not turning, so something is slipping with it. Oh, it goes back in play mode. Ah, that's when it goes in. Okay. Well, that doesn't mean much for us, does it? Yeah, okay. No, it's hard to see what's going on, but definitely what is not going on is this getting a full drive to the take-up reel, sorry, the supply reel, so it won't reverse with enough torque. And it doesn't appear to be the rubber tyre itself, the idler tyre. It's what's driving that is seems to be slipping, and it's not the pulley behind driven from that motor, so must be some sort of clutch mechanism between this and the rear pulley. Right, now the rewind and a little bit of the fast forward is lacking torque, so it really means I need to get into the mechanism and do some cleaning and perhaps re-greasing and oiling and whatever. But to get to that, rather than try and do it in situ, I thought what I'd do is I'd actually take the mechanism out and as a whole and lay it down on a nice clean table, and so that hopefully it will make life a little bit easier and tidier and won't lose anything. Now, to a little plastic plate that sits there to hide the wires, that just pulls off, so you just gently pry it off and all is good. This bottom button panel, it's probably easier to take it out when this is removed, but anyway, I just sort of squeezed it out. It's got some grommets that fit into 2 slots, so I just slowly squeezed it out and got it out. Now it's out of the way. So now is the issue of the mechanism itself. Now, from what I gather, there's 4 major screws, 2 there, 2 there, but the thing is the head assembly needs to be taken off, which is unusual. Normally it almost always stays with the mechanism. You can see here just slightly there's a whole plate there that the head sits on, head assembly, and so the trick is that we actually take the head assembly off and let it dangle. So first one is, there's a little tiny Allen key at the top, snap, off it comes. That's it. Don't know what M's it is. The Allen key itself is 2mm. Okay. Actually, it looks to be the same size. It's just deceptive. Okay. Well, the screw with the solder lug on it for the grounding wire actually doesn't do anything else. It's just for the grounding wire, so I'll tighten that back up. I'll put some nail polish on that a bit later. Oh, very clever. Now, to protect it, it's going in a little tiny bag. I thought the best way is to wrap it in a tissue first. Then into the bag. And then I've got a little wire wrap doohickey. See that? Okay, so jolly good. Okay, I might actually turn it back on its base. I only put it on its side to get a better look at how to take it apart. As I say, there's two looms. One is the large one on the large horizontal board near the left of the machine, and a little tiny one that goes up to the front panel. Just a little 3-pin jobby. So, as I say, there should be 4 screws. One. Power is off, by the way. 2. It's interesting talking to oneself. In a way, it's quite good because it helps me ensure that I follow what I'm doing and explain to myself exactly what I'm doing. Because sometimes you go all of the day trying to do something, and before you know it, you've wasted your time. I found a fire washer at the lab thing. Just no idea where it comes from. Oh, okay. I'll return to my left. Yes, let's do my next. Okay, one front and time. I should have done this first. Right, now to right. Yes, I should have done this first. Right. Okay, now this should just all split out. There's a little. Oh, there it goes. 4.2. Okay. I'll put that. There she goes. Okay, so as you see here, there's some leakage. I might just tuck that into the gap. In the front buttons. Yeah, this is where it would be easier. Just pull that now, but anyway. Okay. Now I'll put that in, because the involved I'll just put it in there. Okay, so that's all separate. Nothing more to do here now. Go and plug everything. And put this all aside. Now we have the whole mechanism out, and we can get to and try and fix up the lack of drag for the rewind and fast forward. Give it a good clean and whatever. Amazing thing with this is the solenoid. How's the size of the solenoid here? It's huge. Absolutely huge. I worked it out that it's drawing about 5 watts just on its own. Just on its own. To the front. It's a bit hard to see where the clutch mechanism for this is. What I'm finding is that the when it's engaged, the idler drive tyre in the middle, when it hits the rewind hub, it actually stops, which means that the force is not getting to this idler tyre. It's not so much the trouble with the tyre itself, I think. If it was, then it would be slipping on the supply hub, but it's not. It's actually slipping somewhere behind it, and it's driven by a belt from the drive motor, and it goes down to another little pulley behind the idler tyre, but that's spinning, so that seems to be working all right. So from the rear pulley with the belt on it from the motor is working, but it's not getting through to the front tyre. So I imagine there's some kind of clutch between the two in behind in there, which I don't know how to get to yet. As I say, I don't know whether to get to it from the front or the back. I've been undecided as to how I would pull this apart, and in the end this is as good a spot as any. But what I'm doing is I'm using a dinner tray with some anti-slip material like I normally have on the bench here, but hopefully this will be a little bit more enclosed, and if something falls out that I don't expect, I'm hoping that it will just simply sit in here. It's just in case. Some of these little circlips and C or E clips are very, very small. You know, like I see one there that's probably only about 3mm diameter in total. It's about 2 pinheads across. Really small. So this is hopefully one layer of protection to stop me losing stuff. Okay, let's go. Well, I've got it all apart now. It's basically in 3 sections. The main front block, the intermediate block with the supply and take-up reels and the idler wheel and the 2 pulleys and belts, and the back panel that holds the solenoid, the large solenoid. And yes, so now I'm just going to see what I can do, grease and oil what I can, and find out why this take-up isn't or the rewind isn't working properly. I thought there was a clutch mechanism, but no, I think it's the rubber wheel idler is actually slipping on this intermediate wheel that's spinning, but it's not turning. So it could be either there's not enough force on this, don't know if you can see, no, but there's a spring that goes between take up and rewind on this arm that moves the idler wheel. There may not be enough force on it, don't know yet. I have to find out what it is that actually moves it across. Well, it's back together. With the rewind not having enough torque, there wasn't a lot I could do. It's this little idler wheel which comes up and engages a wheel there and this rewind hub, but there's no really strong pressure on it. It's just relying upon the rotation of the motor to do its thing. The spring which sort of pushes it up and might have had a say in it, it's only a weak little thing, and you can't adjust it. Can't do anything apart from somehow change that spring, and it's a little short one, about that long, and it's just piss poor. But I can only hope that by the cleaning up here and a bit of rubber renew on the tyre, that it might actually be okay. Yeah, and the other thing too is that there's a friction on that idler wheel. At the back of it there's a pad which provides friction, and why it would do that I don't know. I would have thought it would be best to be freewheeling. Yeah, don't know. Anyway, that's how it is, and there's nothing more I could do, so I just cross my fingers that the rewind is okay. The only thing I could do now, if it's no good, is to get some rough sandpaper and rough up the supply hub, the idler tyre, and the wheel behind it, which also hits the idler tyre. The idler tyre joins that hub there, which is on the end of a pulley from the motor, and this one. So that's all I can think of, is to rough it up a bit, but it's reasonably rough as it is. It actually uses the part of the hub and the wheel up here that are plastic. They're both roughed up. Same with the take-up hub. Actually, it's also roughed up there for fast forward, because when it's slipping in play motion, it actually goes back and slips against it. And if we go back, and you can feel the friction there, whereas the friction on this one is almost non-existent. Weird. Oh well, that's the trouble with friction type mechanics, is that sometimes it just works on a wing and a prayer. That's why true blue gears and levers are so much better than belts. Like in motorcycles, the Ducatis use bevel gears to drive the valves, and it's just so much more direct. There's no timing belts or anything like that. All right, I shall put it back in the machine. Let's see how it goes. Well, unfortunately, I'm having a little bit of a problem with this idler wheel. It's not, there's not enough tension pushing it onto the drive wheel and the take up or rewind spools. So I'm thinking I'm going to have to take these apart and see if I can clean them up and do something. I might initially just try some sandpaper on this rubber idler tyre. I've tried lots of other things to get it clean, alcohol, rubber, renew, and it's still not working too well, so I'll get back to you. I saw in another YouTube video whereby this idler wheel was not going up at all to run rewind or fast forward, and it was just sitting down there, and I could tell the spring's gone, so there's a spring that holds it. But here's the point, it's not that different to what this is, because the spring is just weak as, well, weak as. So I'll demonstrate. Now we put it into rewind. Just slightly slightly touch that, and away it goes. It just needs the slightest of touch up to grip the thing. Now fast forward, same thing, just the slightest upward pressure, and it's happy as a pig in manure. When you go into play mode, it drops back, and it seems to be enough there for some reason. It's actually, but then again, when you see, actually you hold it a bit, and it's not much, but you lift it up a little bit, and away it goes again. And of course that's meant to slip like that. There's a clutch in behind this hub. Now when it's in play, it goes back into and hits a smooth section of this hub rather than a rough section at the front for fast forward. But even so, I suspect that is so that it can slip with either the clutch or on the actual back section where it's hitting on play. I'll demonstrate again. Right. Let's play, and see, there's still not enough upward on that if that jams. Let's try again. Now just the slightest bit of upward pressure there, and you can see the clutch slipping when I held that. So it's got to be that little spring, which I remember seeing, it was a tiny little thing, and I thought, how the hell is that meant to be enough? And in my opinion, it's not enough. But how we can improve upon that, I can only think, is a different spring with thicker windings, because it's quite short, and it's almost closed up anyway. So it's not as if I can sort of take a few, oh, that's a point, I could take a few windings off it. Oh, that might be how I could do it. Yes. But, okay, I've got to pull it all apart again. Okay, here we go. Well, I'm at it again, having to pull this apart again. This time though, I don't think I'll take apart the front like I did before. There wasn't any real need to do that. Although I did manage to give it a little bit of a grease and whatever. But as I mentioned, underneath here and here, there's a ball bearing either side of this plate. Make sure you don't lose that when you take this apart, if at all. It uses it to slide up and down underneath there. Replace it. Or if I maybe drill another hole or something and move it further down. Yeah, the spring's almost compressed there. It's almost got nothing left in its spring. Actually, I can take it out and show you, because it actually dropped off once before, so it's not hard. Right, here we go. That's it there. Just a little tiny thing. Oh. That's it there. Just a little tiny spring. This is it there, just a little tiny spring. And it's almost compressed when it's in its upper position. So I have to see what I can do about somehow relocating it. Oh dear. Now, either somehow shorten the spring or lengthen the its ability, or I'll somehow change the arm lengths. I might add that there's also a little clutch mechanism in this idler. I've had it apart, and I don't know what you can do about it. I'm not sure why there needs to be a clutch mechanism in it. It doesn't spin freely, but there wasn't anything dirty in it or anything, so it's obviously meant to be. Yeah, there we go. So anyway, I think I have to figure out how am I going to, and it has to have however I do it, it has to be able to go up and down between play and rest and fast forward and rewind. Up is fast forward, rewind, down is play. So how can I do this? Oh, in fact, okay. In fact, the spring won't even properly compress. Doesn't go all the way. Yeah, the spring has lost its mojo. Oh dear. Yeah, the spring should be able to naturally compress all the way back to its compressed state, and it's not. I don't know if you can see there, but when you push on the spring, there's a lot more compression to do. So yeah, okay, this has got to be it. So how do I get around this? Unfortunately, I don't have a box full of springs. It doesn't have to go a long way. It only has to go from there to sort of like there. Just, 5 millimeters, that's about it, I think. Oh yeah, it's got almost no tension at all when it's right up. No wonder. Okay. Another spring would be the go. Or if I just shorten this one. That's a bit of a shame to do that. I hate destroying stuff. Well, that's the other way, is to just hook it onto one of the springs loops. and I could hold it down with some hot glue. Yes, that's an idea. Righto, but to make life a bit easier for myself, I think I'm going to take off this end with the E-clip so that I can get to it a bit more easily. Right, how's this going to work? Always dread taking off E-clips, they so easily just fly off. Have to be so careful. Oh, got it. Oh, it's a small fella. That is a small fella. That can sit there. Okay. Now the thing is, I'm not sure how far it's going to need. It's going to be a bit of guesswork here. Well, I can do a bit at a time. Do three, say 3 springs or something. Okay, well that's gone on. Now push it on a bit better. This might just be alright, you know. So now the trick is to try it. Ooh, oh, that's quite a bit more. Almost too much. But then again, yeah, I could have done with less. I'll see if I can back it a bit. Although I've already done the spring, haven't I? Oh, still. Actually, no, I might just leave it where it was. Actually, I think it's all right. The more I think about it. Oh, this poor spring is. Okay. I'll use a bit of glue. Damn, doesn't go as low as I'd like. The spring actually gets in the way. Oh, damn. All right. I thought the loop just sitting over it would not be a problem, but the whole thing doesn't go low enough, which means I have to do something different. Alright, I've shortened the spring and it's got a reasonable amount there now. I'm hoping it's not too much, but I suspect too much is not a problem because fast forward and rewind, it's nice to have it anyway, no matter what. Right, I've put it back together, ready to go in the machine. I guess a couple of points is that I've shortened the spring on this so that there's a lot more upward force now, and I think it should be sufficient. I also sandpapered the top roller, for want of a better word, that's on the end of the of the belt foot and this motor. So it goes this motor belt over to this top roller, and the idler wheel comes up and hits it, and how it's directed, it goes fast forward, rewind, or play. And I think there's enough spring there now to do its job. And of course, when it's not being used, this plate up here keeps it away, so it's not being used. So I think it should be good. The spring tension was just pathetic before. The other thing is that just as well I took it apart, because I'd in my box of bits I'd forgotten to put back one of the roller bearings, and unless you really have to, don't take off this this slider plate, because there's 6 ball bearings, one underneath there, one underneath here, one underneath here, one underneath there, and 2 on top. And that gives it a smooth motion in a good flat plane, which you need for, of course, the tape transport. And yes, and as I mentioned, I swapped the pinch rollers. This may need some adjustment, but I've put it at the same height as what it was before, 4.6 millimeters spring length there for the supply pinch roller. So we'll see how it goes. If it's no good, I'll have to think of something else. Maybe some sandpapering of that, or maybe even a new pinch roller. And if I do that, I might as well get 2 new ones, if I can get them. Maybe from AliExpress or something. They're 10 millimeter diameter, 8 millimeter wide, 2 millimeter shaft, so sort of standard. I'll give it another clean when I put it back in. It's just to make sure there's no oil sitting on the rubbers. Wow, that was quite a saga. Particularly adjusting that spring length. It was a bit of a mess, really. But I had to sort of mangle the end of the spring, and I can't see it anywhere to show you, but that's what I had to do. Anyway, yeah, the spring that takes this up, I had to shorten it. That's the upshot of it all. All right, I'm going to put it all back together now. Right. Getting close. Putting the head assembly back in now. And over. Oh, well, I think we're ready to go. No missing screws. Okay, now the big test. Fast forward. Rewind. Beautiful. Whoa, it flies. I'll rewind it, it's only a small rewind is only the small hub at the moment. Let's go. Yep. Ah, that's working better now. I think that's because I had that missing roller bearing, that ball bearing. Seeing how it works with the different pinch rollers. Well, that's looking great, thank goodness. Yeah. Yeah, we'll show you what we mean. Let's drop down. Let's have a closer look in there. Now, if we simulate, fast forward, yeah, and fast forward, yeah, see it's got the power up there now. That doesn't last long. Oh yeah, heaps of torque. Oh yeah. I mean, they never have a huge amount of torque like a reel-to-reel, but still good. Yeah, okay, goes fast, but it's got the slippies. And it's a clutch behind here that's slipping, not the idler, which is, in my opinion, how it should be working. Oh, still going. Excellent. Well, that is good. That is good. All right. I won't necessarily put the front cover on for the next stage. Now I'll be doing some a little bit of cleaning around here just to make sure there's no grease and oil, and then start thinking about calibration. Woohoo! Finally getting to the interesting bit. To finish off this video, first off, I'm sorry it's so long. I have taken out or cut so much out of this video already, but I was fairly keen to show the thought processes involved in basically finding out that a certain spring was not up to scratch. Sometimes it's quite difficult to try to figure out what it is that's causing something, and of course I'm still learning as well, but it now works quite well. It's an hour of hymns. In further installments, the strange action of the play and stop buttons and record buttons continues and rears its ugly head again. But that's for another video. The calibration is quite a saga as well. So there's a lot more to come yet, so I hope you've persevered to the end here and hope you enjoyed this rather prolonged fault finding exercise. Right, bye. Well, it doesn't show a Dolby symbol, so I probably should go without Dolby.